What's up, guys? We're at the Pkt Community Roundtable discussion. We got Caleb, James Delisle, Jesse Berger, Josh Berger, and myself, Jeremy Berger. Just here to talk a little bit about Pkt and all the fun things that are happening in the project. Know that it's a green day in the markets, which means a green day in the world of Pkt. How you guys doing?
Yeah, doing good. Happy that Pkt is following the ETH trend right now. That's always nice.
Yeah, that makes things very nice.
Yeah, indeed.
I just released a video yesterday or the day before about how to kind of like a walkthrough for pairing your domain with your Pkt stake. So if anybody needs a walkthrough, you can go to the Pkt YouTube. It's posted on X, Discord, Telegram, everywhere. So feel free to jump into the tutorial to see how to pair. And yeah, we got some more domain or not domain, but more infrastructure node staking coming down the pipeline. Caleb, you want to touch on that shortly or briefly?
Yeah, so what's about to land is going to be actually getting paid for your based on your infrastructure rather than just getting paid for your yield credits. That should be next week, 1 week from today, that is official. So, and I foresee this week, maybe even today, I'm going to deploy on beta the new version that is going to have this stuff. So you're going to be able to see the numbers of what your yields are, and they're going to be good because a lot of people are asleep at the wheel and they're not putting infrastructure with their stakes, so they're not paying attention. So if you're putting infrastructure now, then you're gonna do well in the first weeks. So I'll announce on the Discord when this comes out, when this is available on the beta endpoint, and you can play with it. But 1 week from today is when it's going to be actually enforcing, and that's how you're going to yield.
That's awesome.
Cool. I've been, doing this Thursday kind of workshop with people, and just being able to help people get situated. It's interesting, dealing with different people's routers that are trying to run CJDNS from their home. But as far as the domains going, it's been just really, really smooth. Well, setting up the CJDNS is smooth as well if you know how to work your stupid router. But it's it's been cool getting people onboarded, and that workshop's been great just like a place where people could come in, ask questions, get help, do some screen sharing. I won't be doing it this Thursday because it's Thanksgiving in America, and my mom would publicly execute me if I did that on that day. But the following Thursday, I'll keep doing it and just helping people get ready.
Yeah, well, this is the last community roundtable before infrastructure is required. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and let's try and get everyone set up. But for people who are already set up, yeah, as Caleb said, you're going to get a nice pop in yields because everyone who didn't set up infrastructure prior to, what's the exact date? Is it the 30th, Caleb?
It's going to be 1 week from today.
Oh,
exactly.
So it's going to be like the 4th?
It'll be the 4th. Yeah. It's going to be coordinated with this call, just so that everybody, so that we're all here. We're all, we're doing this roundtable. There's people that can, ask questions on like the Discord, and then we can answer those like on the roundtable, and that way it'll just be a little bit smoother.
That's great. Okay, cool. So everyone gets another couple of days of grace period. But yeah, that's going to be great for getting your infrastructure set up and just making sure that you don't miss those early yields. Because I remember when Pkt on base launched, because there weren't a lot of people staking, people were able to just get massive yields. So, one of our buddies put a couple ETH in, I think it was like $4,000, and he yielded like 2.5 million packet in 1 week because he was like one of the first people to stake, even before, even the developers got their stake, and everyone was so busy that first week getting everything set up, and just completely miffed the first week. So yeah, great opportunities in those early, as Kayla said, in those early weeks to really capture major yields, due to the fact that a lot of people's stakes are just going to stop yielding. One caveat is that if you have an LP stake, the LP side of the stake is going to continue to yield. It's not infrastructure contingent. However, if you're staking for longer than 1 week, then you also, with your LP stake, get a packet staking yield, and the packet staking yield side of your LP stake will stop if you don't have infrastructure paired with it. So it's just something to take into consideration.
If you go to the dashboard on your LP stakes, and you'll see there's two numbers, and one is like one is LP yields and the other one is staking yields, I think. The LP yield stays, and the staking yields, that goes away. That becomes just yield credits that you have to then assign, and then you can potentially yield. So the slice that comes out of LP yields, those are staying forever, for a year from launch day, when that ends. But the staking yields, those are the ones that are going to end next week.
Got it. So yeah, that's really exciting. And then the other piece of that on the infrastructure side is, all the different actions that can be taken in relation to getting stakes. So, Akash, Caleb, do you have a little update on?
Oh, I just want to say one. Yeah, I want to say one thing about Akash. I just finished the video for getting a CJDNS node deployed on the Akash network. So if anybody, I'm actually gonna go and do it, and because I want to have both domain and CJDNS nodes. But you need to have a little bit of a Akash token in order to do the deployment.
Right.
I'll be releasing the video in the next, probably in the next day or so. I didn't want to release, 2 videos on the same day, but I will. I'll put that out once we get it approved from the team. But yeah, that's, there you go. So if anybody here who doesn't know how to do a domain or doesn't know how to set up a CJDNS node, Akash is one of our infrastructure partners on this. So
that's awesome.
Everybody can go and go deploy. It's super easy. I mean, I just did the video and I was like, oh my goodness, it's so easy to do.
Yeah, because they pre-package the deployer, so it's just going to be one of the easy deployments on their platform. And yeah, as Jeremy said, if you have some Akash tokens, you can get set up, relatively straightforward. And yeah, just go launch a node for the year and you're dialed in. Just don't have to think about it. So that's something that I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see the packet node map expand as more people get dialed in. The other thing I was noticing, one of the conversations in the chat about Rowdy, is that the mini is a CJDNS node, and our dev team on the Rowdy side has been really focused predominantly on packet, and so Rowdy's kind of trailing in terms of getting caught up on all the packet developments to what's being done on the packet project in particular. But if you have a mini, or if you want a CJDNS node that is just set and forget type implementation, then the mini is definitely a great solution for that. And a lot of people have their minis, and if you have a cube as well, the cube is going to enable you to double up on your stake. So for instance, every CJDNS node has right now a $5,000 limit to it. I'm actually going to put out a poll. I was talking to Caleb about this yesterday. put out a poll and get some feedback from the community on where that upper limit should be, because one of the things that has to be taken into consideration is that 1 PKT equals 1 yield credit. However, if you have a 4x multiplier, for instance, if you stake for a year and you have a 4x multiplier, then your yield credits will max out at $5,000 worth of yield credit. So what that ultimately means is that 1.25 million packet with a 4x yield multiplier is all that you can stake on a CJDNS node. So if you're someone who has 2 or 3 million packet, which isn't really a lot nowadays, that you can buy that for approximately $1,000, you would have to have 2 to 3 CJDNS nodes. So we were just discussing kind of what is the proper threshold for staking to a single CJDNS node. If you have a cube, that limit will be 2x, because the cube will have the ability to obviously do the CJDNS node, but then also have the ability to stake a VPN node. And so that will double up on the staking yield potential, meaning the amount of packet you can have staked on a cube is twice as much as just a standard CJDNS node. But we are considering and want to get some community feedback on expanding the max that can be staked to a CJDNS node. So like I said, I'll put a poll into the Discord and love to get some community feedback on that. Caleb, do you have any thoughts on that?
Just before he says that, I'd love to see how many people are setting up multiple CJDNS nodes and see what, how people are going about doing it.
Go for it. That's my thoughts.
Okay, cool. So
by the way,
yes,
anybody got any questions? Just ask them, reply to the tweet here and tag me. So I'm looking at Twitter as well.
Yeah. Or if you have any, or if you're on YouTube, ask your questions. I see there's people asking questions in there, so I'm just replying to them. One thing to note is that if you do use a domain, there is no limit to how much PKT you can pair. So obviously the payouts are probably going to be a little bit less for the domain because of how easy it is, if I'm not mistaken, Caleb. And the most I guess the more difficult types of infrastructure that require a little bit more technical knowledge and know-how are going to pay out better. So it is in your best interest to diversify, have a CJDNS node, have a domain, and then when VPN exit nodes pop up and a name server. I mean, if you get loaded up on all the different types of infrastructure, you're going to maximize your yields.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jer. Yeah, it really is the way you're going to want to go about it. Is the people that are going to get the highest yields are going to be the ones that are deploying the most nodes and really dispersing them all over the world. So you can set up, and you as you'll do that calculation, because you're just getting a VPS, they can get them as cheap as a couple dollars on DigitalOcean, a couple bucks on OVH or Hetzner. Actually, well, Caleb, I don't know. Will Hetzner have a problem with the CJDNS node, or is it just
Hetzner has a problem with everything?
Yeah,
that company, I remember they were going after like LGBT Fediverse nodes, which I mean, whatever your politics are about it, like you don't need to start just kicking people off your service that are following the law. I don't understand those people. They're very German. I'll say that.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, maybe steer away from Hetzner. They're adversarial. They'll just cancel you. But OVH has been great. OVH is the call. DigitalOcean, very, very crypto friendly, and
OVH is very French. They just like it's cool. Yeah. They're just gonna let it go.
Yeah, laissez-faire. Yeah, but you should have yourself a couple nodes. So right now with the cap being $5,000 worth of yield credits, you can put 1.25 million packet per node. Go get yourself a couple nodes. The CJDNS nodes are the highest yielding, and there's not going to be a lot of them, you know, so in the beginning at least. And so there's a great opportunity to go capture those yields. Caleb, can you remind us what the splits are? I saw you posted in the chat.
I was just thinking about that. So in the end, when everything's complete, right? It's going to be 40 for CGDNS, 30 for VPN, 15 for domain, 10 for name server, and 5 for route server. That's the final answer. However, right now we're just releasing CGDNS and domain. So what we're going to do is we're going to put CGDNS at 40 and domain at 25, but that's out of a total of 40 plus 25. So it ends up being that it's going to be 61% biased toward CGDNS nodes and 38% biased toward domains. Putting domains at 15 with CGDNS at 40 would have been so biased against domains that it really would have made it less fun for domain operators. So that was why I said, okay, when we've only got just the two, we'll put domain at 25. And then once name server comes online, then we're going to knock domain down to 15 and we're going to put name server at 10. And then that will, even things out. And VPN, when that comes online, that's going to be another 30, which is going to just flatten things out. So for the moment, it's a 61-38 split. But in the end, it's going to be 40, 30, 15, 10, 5.
Got it. So yeah, great opportunity right now to run a CGDNS node. That's where the money's going to be. Actually, great opportunity to run a couple CGDNS nodes and get creative with it, right? Wouldn't you recommend that, Caleb?
The reason to run multiple CGDNS nodes is if you just have a lot of yield credits, a lot of packet, a lot of yield credits. Remember, a domain, you can put as many yield credits as you want. So you as an individual really only need one domain. But you're limited to $5,000 worth of yield credits on CGDNS nodes. So that's a little bit more where you might want to have enough of them to saturate your yield credits, to use up your yield credits. So running more than one, it's probably wise, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying because especially in this early period, do you want to talk a little bit about the bonuses and penalties for CGDNS nodes?
Yeah. So let me just pull up the code because memory, don't have any. The way the bonus works is you get a bonus for being so start with CGDNS. You get a bonus for being on a unique IP prefix. Now, the first thing you need to care about is that you're not sharing the same IP address with another CGDNS node. So you can really only run one at home. Putting multiple nodes at the same IP address on the same server or in the same house on the same internet connection is really not going to help you much, because what it's going to do is it's just going to divide all of your yields between them. And so you don't come out that well. It's just not, it's not good. You don't want to do that. So your IP prefix, and IP prefix, it's a kind of like IP addresses are handled on the internet in big chunks, blocks, and the block is always owned by the same ISP, and it's always routed in the same way. So the prefix, if let's say you were to buy VPS, if you were to buy a VPS at, say, OVH in Canada, and then you bought, say, 1,000 VPSs at OVH in Canada, you'd very likely end up with IP addresses that all are in the same prefix, because they're probably on the same shelf, in the same rack, in the same data center, in the same location. And so the ISP is just using the same prefix. That's prefix. So same ISP, but spreading it around the world is going, different locations. That's likely to get you different prefixes, which is going to give you a bonus for prefix. So the way the prefix bonus works is you get 100% of your yield credits divided by the number of people who are also shared in the same prefix. And that's just a freebie added on to your assigned yield credits. And then we do it again for the ISP, what's called an autonomous system. It's the internal internet name for an ISP. So if you share, if you're on a CGDNS node that shares the same ISP with, say, 100 other CGDNS nodes, you get a 1% bonus because there's 100. 100 divided by 100 is 1, right? If you share with 10 other people, share with 9 other people, there's 10 total, you get a 10% bonus. If you're the only one on that ISP, you get 100% bonus. And then there's another bonus for having IPv6, but that's not active yet. So that one doesn't count, but it will be a 25% kicker if you have IPv6 enabled. So that's the bonus breakdown. 100% divided by the number of people that share the prefix, plus 100% divided by the number of people who share the ISP, plus another 25% if you have IPv6, but that's not active yet. Then the penalty is you take the amount of time that the node is inactive or down over the last week, and you square that number. Actually, no, you take the square of the percentage of time that it's up. So like, let's say it's up 90% of the time, 0.9 squared is 0.81. And so therefore you get negative, you have a penalty of the 1 minus 0.81, which is 19%. So you get a 19% penalty because you were down 10%, which means you were up 90%. So you square the 0.9 to get 0.81, and you take 1 minus that to get the number. But you see all this in the flow, on the dashboard. You see that this whole breakdown where it says, shows you the penalty and everything. So you should be able to kind of deduce that. But just to understand penalties intuitively, 90% uptime gives you 81% of your yields. 50% uptime gives you like 25% of your yield. 75 gives you like 50%. So that's how the squaring works. So basically, you need to keep it up, keep it running all the time. Then on the domain side, there isn't really much to do with domains. I mean, so as far as penalty, the penalty is if it's not configured correctly, it doesn't yield. That's kind of it. There is a penalty, but it's like if it's under 90%, then it just goes to 0. The bonus on domains is people 100% divided by the number of people sharing the same domain registrar, and that's registrars like Namecheap or GoDaddy or Porkbun, those type of companies, plus 100% divided by the number of people sharing the same top-level domain authority. So like .com, .net, those are the authority is VeriSign. A lot of the fancy top-level domains, the authority is I forgot what it's called, something dog, moon dog or something like that. I forgot the name of it, LLC. And then the last one is you get another 100% divided by the number of people who share the same country that the domain is domiciled in. And the way that we determine the country of the domain is we take the country of the registrar and the country of the top-level domain authority, and whichever one of them is worse for you, meaning whichever one of them has more people using it, that's the one that you get. So if you register like .de or something, and so the TLD authority is Germany, but you register it with GoDaddy, which is US, you're going to get thrown in the bucket with all the Americans because the country of that jurisdiction is the US because the registrar is US based. So that's how that works.
In the domain for Kazakhstan and just find the local registry.
Exactly. Yeah. So you want to find a registrar that's like one of these rinky-dink little companies that's based out of like Kazakhstan in order to register the Kazakhstan domain, and then you get 100 plus 100 plus 100.
Makes
You
sense.
basically triple your yield credits.
All right, start hunting. We can't hear you, Jess.
Yeah, so that'll encourage people to get creative and, you know, seek out unique positions and help create the resilience of the network. I mean, that's really where, you know, the creative folks are going to win on staking and setting up infrastructure. So I love that, you know, the incentives are now really aligned with the infrastructure. Obviously, that's such a great part of the story now. And as we build the community, there will be, you know, creativity emerging in terms of how people get set up, where people get set up, the diversity of those node domiciles and jurisdictions, and you know, start tweeting, start talking about where the tricks of the trade are, where the little cash grabs are. And we saw this happen with, you know, most mining always finds some edge, is always looking for some edge. Obviously, in this stake to earn, not being mining, the edge is going to be around infrastructure. And so, you know, people can get creative and find those edges with regards to how they set up their infrastructure. So that's the new story here, and how this network really begins to shape up. Josh, do you want to talk? Well, there's two things that I want to make sure we discuss before we close down today. One is I want to talk about marketing and the proposal that we've been working on, which hopefully we'll have next week, about marketing. And then the second thing I want to talk about is utility, and what you've been really working on a lot, Josh, in regards to the media stuff, but not just media. It's really begun to expand well beyond, and starting to become, you know, starting to see the ecosystem emerge with regards to, you know, all the interested parties wanting to get into the Packet Hub. So ranging from, you know, gaming to crypto projects to media and entertainment, etc., casino gaming, etc. So it's quite a bit going on there. Do you want to just kind of riff on that just a little bit?
Yeah, you know, obviously our background is in the media and entertainment space, and so that was always kind of like a big, you know, jumping point for us of excitement, of use case for the Packet network. But as we've been going down, you know, we built Packet Hub, launched it. It's on the Packet network. It's the first, you know, real site that's being used by the community, which is pretty cool. And so the Packet Hub is this hub that, you know, you can access traditional media, and, you know, we've been onboarding a lot of different, like, kind of disruptor media channels that are all trying to, you know, be impactful in that space. And so, but when I went to Malta and spoke at that conference, there was just a lot of like online gaming and gambling sites that saw a huge opportunity to be able to participate in the Packet network. And so that's really kind of expanded these partnerships, and being able to, you know, we're talking to some Web3 casinos. They're geolocated and not available in the US or the UK. So, you know, being able to build in there, and it's just kind of this sovereign part of the internet, is really interesting. We've been talking to, you know, different play to earn games, and just being able to create real utility for this network. And it's always funny that they're like, well, what's in it for you? Why are you just letting us build on top of your platform and, you know, not asking for money? It's like, well, that's the whole point, is everyone's building this thing. This belongs to all of us. It's not like you're building on top of my infrastructure. You're building on top of the Packet network, which is a public utility given to the world. And so it's been exciting to just have these conversations, start bringing people in. And there's just been really easy to create partnerships from the infrastructure side of things, such as Akash, such as Hyvelo, We're talking to a bunch of these other big DPIN projects. And then on top of the Pkt network as well, being able to collaborate with these streaming platforms and these gaming platforms and these gambling platforms, and being able to just create that ecosystem that's payment agnostic. Everyone's building on their own silos all over the internet. And so this becomes this ecosystem where it doesn't matter what chain you're on. It doesn't matter what your configuration is. You can come and build here. And at the least, it's a backlink to your regular site in Web 2. And at the best, you're building a replica of your site in this ecosystem that has resilience and can never be taken down. And so you don't have to, be looking over your shoulder all the time when building here. And that becomes really exciting for projects to collaborate.
Yeah. And one of the things we've been talking about adding onto the hub is now getting into categorization, discovery, search, etc. So creating some new categories that allow people to configure the tiles and locate themselves from a project standpoint into the hub based on the category of their project. So if it's gaming, or if it's media, film, and TV or distribution or whatever you're trying to do, then you can be able to categorize the hub, resort, I should say, the hub to, based on what you're looking for. And then one of the things Josh and I were actually talking about yesterday is that it would actually be very cool to create a category on the hub just for blockchain projects. And I was riffing on this idea that the thing is in the world today is we have the internet, right? And then we have search. So everyone creates a website, and the way that you can find these websites is through, whatever search engine that you use. And that fragments the internet quite a bit, because it's like, how do you get discovered? Well, that's why people invest into SEO or invest into SEM, so that they can actually spend money on the ability for people to find their project, and in a lot of ways, that's what the hub can end up becoming, is a ecosystem, as Josh said, or a hub where people can go to for discovery and finding things that people are putting out there, that not just based on search, not just based on if you type in the magic search words and are able to, land on a website that you may or may not be looking for, but that you can come to the hub and actually discover things categorically based on, what your interests are. And I think that's really powerful. And it doesn't really exist widely outside of major providers like Google and Apple TV and these types of places that are, iTunes, these type of places that, actually put, projects and companies and apps and games and all these different things. So if you're looking at the screen right now, this is the, kind of the first V1 of the hub. But what we're talking about doing is adding navigation down the left side, and just really starting to just add a lot more things to this. This is just initially started as just an example. We ended up just programming it up, and now we're just really focused on expanding this thing out. And so this is just a total, MVP. It looked really cool in Figma and like the first versions of it. And then we put it up on the web, and we're like, okay, this is a nice starting point, but we really got to go a lot further with this thing. And so that's where this is really beginning to get fleshed out. And we were just talking to our team about just adding, dozens of new projects here. And once you add dozens of projects, you need to add the categorization. So it really starts to expand quite quickly. And that's what gets me excited. But also, when it comes down to search and sorting and categories, there's just endless things that can be added into this ecosystem. So, we'll start to see this really begin to expand out. And I think this is where, the rubber meets the road for the Pkt network. It's like first use cases. And again, not just specific to media and entertainment either. We, already having these conversations with so many different projects even projects that are, specifically not focused on media and entertainment that are interested in being discoverable here. So a lot of new stuff coming in.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to say is I think it's important to note that this is just like the V1 of what we're really trying to build on with this platform. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. And Jesse noted on it that we're going to be adding all these different functions and categorization and search and making it into like a real ecosystem that people can navigate through. But putting this here is just makes it real kind of clear and simple of what's trying to be created. And also, if there's people out there who have ideas of their businesses that they want to have up on the hub, then you can submit a channel, and people will go through it and get back to you about possibility of being implemented. So yeah. Is there anything else, Josh or Jess, you want to touch on the hub part? Kind of maybe go into like the community aspect around the kind of the film direction. Do we want to touch on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really focused on rallying some of our peers in the film business, and so that's just is going to be a big focus of some of the marketing stuff and building that kind of expansion of the community. I know how diehard that community is just in the filmmaker community and how dedicated they are. And so being able to bring them in to this ecosystem as an opportunity and kind of a beacon of hope for the future of that business, that becomes exciting. So there's gonna be a lot of messaging and marketing around that I'll be doing, different than just kind of the core, messaging of Pkt on the crypto side. Yeah, just I'm excited about it because it's just get to talk to my friends and my peers that I've been nurturing for the last 20 years and bringing them into this ecosystem about what we built. It was always very hard to do that when we were just talking about networking and we were so low in the stack and people are like, I don't really get that side of things. Like that's complicated. But when we start getting to this and they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. This is where the kind of the rubber meets the road. This is where we get to participate. This is where my content lives. Then that conversation becomes easier to have. And so I've been excited and just creating a lot of materials and opportunities to nurture that message and to bring people into the community that way. So that's kind of this next chapter for me and for us to really focus our marketing on bringing those people in as a groundswell so that when you bring the crypto degens in, they are jumping into an active community. And that's just really important for this next chapter of Pkt to prepare itself for the bull run that's just happening as we speak.
Yeah, it's so cool because crypto lacks utility for the most part, unless you're particularly looking at crypto on the gaming side, where that the tokens are actually have utility within a game, or you're looking at the DeFi side, where we know that whether you're doing borrowing or liquidity provision, or those are specific utilities for crypto. But outside of that, I mean, people are just solutions looking for a problem. Especially you're looking at Dogecoin with a $50+ billion market cap. I mean, sure, at this point you could say that there's so much liquidity depth that you want to pay me, you want to buy a car with Dogecoin, cool. They're going to just go cash it out because they know that they can just sell the Dogecoin and get back to whatever fiat currency is relevant to the seller. But is there particular utility for the token or the coin that the recipient isn't just trying to cash out to fiat, right? And with Pkt, that was always the goal, was just, can we create some integral utility for the token where you can actually use it to buy things? And that's what the focus is of the hub. Is obviously each project can be crypto agnostic. All the projects on the hub right now don't even have anything to do with crypto. It's just a hub from an infrastructure standpoint, where media content can be discovered, but sovereign place of the internet. So there's something very unique about where the backhaul is set up. And most people that probably use it might not even understand what that means or care. But what I think will be relevant about the hub is that it's a place for discovery. And as the hub, gains depth in the amount of projects on it, right now there's 12 projects on it, and they're all major companies, or well known for the most part, outside of maybe Rumble and Tune FM. But the other projects here, and I guess you could say Radical and Via, which don't have mass market recognition yet, but when you're talking about HBO, Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, those are major projects. So the idea here is to have a convergence between recognizable blue chip projects and companies, Fortune 500 companies even, and emergent projects and companies, and then getting that to expand deeper down, like I was saying earlier, to include crypto projects that can be categorically discovered. It could include games that, it's like, how do you discover games? Like, where do you go? I mean, are you going to Apple, iTunes? Are you just going onto a blog that you trust and looking at what is being recommended? But where's a place that you can actually have an aggregation of websites for a bunch of different, cool gaming projects? And I think that's where the hub can really start to get some recognition, is it just being a place where you can be discovered. And because it's a place where people can build and put their message out there, I think there's a real potential for this to grow. Obviously, this is extremely early days and it's pretty rudimentary out of the gate, but it's a beginning, it's a starting point, and it really has all the malleability of a blank canvas that can be established and grown as more people start to arrive. So obviously adding search, different categories, is going to be fundamental to this thing really growing. And then Josh has been, running around the world talking about just onboarding and just getting people to add their tile to it. We're going to add, I would say, over the next couple of weeks, you'll probably see this thing, expand out to, somewhere close to 100 tiles, categorically, represented. And we'll start seeing a lot more people, using this hopefully over the coming period. So that's the direction that this is heading. And as the bull run's heating up here, or even maybe just getting started, Pkt has always been well positioned to tell this part of the story, but we've never been in the place where there was ease for onboarding. And now with these exceptional wallets, on the Coinbase side of things, with the EVM compatibility here with this particular version of the token, and this use case of Pkt Hub, combined with the staking and infrastructure stake to earn protocol, Pkt's ready to run. So now we can talk a little bit about marketing, and we can wrap it up there, Jer. Let's just talk a little bit about this proposal and what we're wanting to put forth to the community next week.
Yeah, so we've been kind of, putting our heads together about the next kind of run of marketing that we'll be rolling out, and how do we continue to keep the train on the tracks. And so we've been talking to a couple different marketing people. We're not really looking at an agency because they're super expensive, and it just doesn't always work in your favor, going with these big agencies. So we've been kind of just branching out and seeing people who have large communities that focus on this type of grassroots marketing and building community, because obviously our community has it needs to grow 5 to 10x over the next couple months. And so we're trying to find the best route to get that type of growth. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put together a network steward proposal that will allow for funding of the next phase of marketing, and also will help keep, doing some, market making and things like that, which, as everybody realizes, can get, expensive when it's month after month. And so, yeah, that's essentially, I'm not going to go too much into kind of who we're going with or what's happening, but there will be some marketing moving in the next, pretty much by the end of the month and into next month, with a proposal for the community to decide if this is something they want to vote on. Currently, network stewards with Caleb and all the things that he's been building for the infrastructure, which was imperative. This project can only grow to where we want it to grow with the infrastructure component. And so now we're looking to kind of move those network steward funds into the hands of the people who can help push the marketing efforts and get this into in front of everybody, so that they know about Pkt and what's being built here and how to participate in the community and infrastructure aspect of it.
Yeah, and if you remember, when Pkt Crip was launching, you could kind of time that last marketing proposal with the time when Pkt hit 5 cents, and so that's and it was cool because we were paying people in Pkt, and people were accepting it because they saw the potential. And some people were making a couple $100 that turned into tens of thousands of dollars, which was cool to be part of that and to have the work you do directly affect the result. And so yeah, it's going to be nice to start allocating some of those funds into people's pockets that can be incentivized to help the growth and the expansion of the community, and obviously that affects price action.
Yeah, we've gone through a situation, over the last several years where, the burgers, Caleb, we had to be somewhat of a Swiss Army knife here, where we're taking on a lot of different tasks and, leading the charge. And it's just a lot of pieces. I mean, this is a, very large project. There's a lot of moving parts. And, obviously, want as much community participation as possible, but over the years it's been hard to get people to engage, and it's been difficult to get people to take action. So a lot of people just want it done for them, which is understandable when it comes to a crypto project. But this project always had a little bit different edge because it didn't go out and raise venture capital. It doesn't have a bank account, and it doesn't even have a company. So it's just, there's not that kind of core centralization that you get around some of these big projects that have been, wildly successful, raising hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. You look at projects, other layer ones like, Aptos, Sui, they have massive war chests. They're multi-billion-dollar projects, and they've raised venture capital to get started. I think Aptos started with almost $400 million. So, or Helium is another example. They started with, I think they've raised almost $500 million. So it's just puts you in a different category when you have that type of war chest and you can spend on marketing in that regard. This project required community participation, but really struggled. The mining side of it became so centralized that it really hampered community involvement, or at least the longevity of the community involvement, because there was a period where the community was heavily involved, but the incentive to continue participating went away so drastically. So in going forward, we still have the network steward, which has always been a powerful tool if used correctly. And we just saw that tool used very correctly with regards to the work that Caleb's been doing. And, bless Caleb's, little heart over there, just tearing it up over the last 6 months, building unbelievable amounts of technology, and still very committed to finishing up the pillars of infrastructure that round out the protocol. That said, it's the perfect time. We've had a bunch of community members hit us up and be like, why isn't Pkt pumping? And it's like, Pkt it's not in a vacuum. Like, it needs to have people that are working on that and are experts in that particular gift. And while we've focused on the leadership of leading the project and the vision. We're not, expert marketers. That's not my craft. That's not my trade. And so we've been trying to bring in various different people to help on that front. And marketing is a very elusive thing in crypto, because like, what is marketing? Is it running ads? Like, okay, so you can pay someone $2,000 a month to run ads, but how do you know that those ads are going to convert into buyers? It's very difficult to connect an ad spend with volume on a decentralized exchange, or connect ad spend with buyers on a centralized exchange even. And so there's a lot of very particular, very crypto specific strategies that can help bring forth community growth, wallet holder expansion, and trading volume, which is ultimately what people are looking for. And the other thing that's very elusive is on the trading volume side is what's entailed to get that, because it's a lot of times, I would say 95+% of the trading volume that you see on a decentralized exchange like Dex Screener, or on on a decentralized exchange platform like Dex Screener, or that you're seeing on individual projects, or you're seeing on centralized exchanges even, is fake. That volume is manufactured volume from the market makers. And it's done that to give the impression that there's a lot of people trading the asset, when there very well might not be as nearly as many as you think. And there's a total strategy on how that's done. So you can prop it up, but the cost to prop up trade volume it's significant. It's a significant number. So let's say you wanted to create the impression there's a lot of people trading it to get other people to come in. You're just spending a ton of money. We were talking to a market maker who was saying that to generate $1 million in volume for a month would cost over $50,000. So you have to have 50 grand that you just want to burn for a month just to create that trade volume, just to hopefully attract other people to trade the asset. So that's a little bit wonky. And that's where, there's been a lot of issues with the legitimacy of projects doing that. Obviously, Pkt's not doing that right now. And ideally, we would, use marketing to attract community that would be interested in trading the project on their own accord. And that also actually highlights some of the benefit, because that $50,000 in cost, a good portion of that goes to the people providing the liquidity. And so one of the things that these market makers will say is they'll say, this is the amount of the trade volume creation cost that you can just pull out if you're the LP. And we're like, well, we're not the LP. The LP is crowdsourced. There's over 70 people that are providing the LP. By the way, if you're an LP provider of that trade volume, you're getting paid. Like, you can actually withdraw your the actual benefits that you're receiving for providing liquidity. So in addition to the packet yields that you're getting, you're actually getting there's a 0.3% fee that's paid into the LP for the per dollar on trade volume, per trade on trade volume. And so every buy and sell is actually getting paid out to the liquidity provider. So if you've been providing liquidity for the last month, you should check it out. You can withdraw that money, and there's probably some cash there for you. But being that Pkt's not centralized on the liquidity provision, that means that money, if someone's putting up the cost for trade volume, that money is just getting paid out to the community of liquidity providers. So you can't withdraw, you can't rebate yourself in that regard. So there is a really, really high price. So in lieu of just manufacturing that, what we've been focused on is creating a proposal that can make best efforts to really draw community in. And so we've found a team that we've been interested in. We've been talking to them. That just sent us a proposal yesterday. And we're going to put that together with some KPIs, present it to the community. And that way we can use ideally, if community elected, the network steward funds for an array of tech development, marketing efforts, market making, and set the project up as best as possible to get this growth as we head into the bull market of 2025. So keep an eye out for that proposal to get circulated to the community. And if you guys vibe with it, let's get it voted in. Let's get those funds allocated to people who can really use their gift and skill sets specifically on the marketing front.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's essentially where we're at with the marketing side of things. And yeah, we're looking for, the first of the month to present that to the community and get this thing popping as, ASAP.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's absolutely no, I mean, everything's, you're seeing projects, get their 2 to 5x leg up. If you're a fortunate XLM holder, Stellar XLM, you just saw your bags boost. Pretty much everything's boosting now. Everything's getting that first leg up, and Pkt just hasn't. We're just lagging behind, clearly. And there's absolutely no reason that this thing can't leg up. It just needs to be put on people's radar, and let's get that awareness and that growth, and start to get that adoption, because it's such a cool, dynamic, real project. I mean, it's not some random, just some token popping up on Pump Fun where someone's saying that they're going to kill their goldfish if you don't pump it. But let's get some real participation here and build this thing out.
Indeed.
100%. Cool, guys. Well, we're at the, hour mark. We got the 100 listeners on the board, which has been our, seems to be able to hit that with, on our hour mark in the last 2 streams, which is rad. And doing it this way, I think, is way better.
Yeah.
It's like doing a call. What I would really like to do is maybe on the next one, I'll post the link for people to be able to join the call, and everybody can come up here and ask questions, and we'll just see how much community actually wants to engage in this. One thing I didn't say in the beginning, which I should have, is everybody listening, go retweet this on the X account so that this thing can get pushed far and wide. Probably should have done that at the 1 minute mark, not at the 57-minute mark, but learn for next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions, or you want to just chit chat, hop over to the Telegram, Pkt Cash, Discord, X account. The 4 of us are pretty active over there, and so if you guys want to ask questions, or tell us how stoked you are on Pkt, or how much you're not, we're there to listen. So appreciate you guys.
Cool.
All right.
Well, thanks for hosting, Jer. Appreciate you.
Of course. Catch you on the next one, guys.
All right.
Later.
Bye.